His book is called The Chaos Agent, the 13th book in the Gray Man series. And New York Times bestselling author Mark Greaney joins us now. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, sir. And this book's theme is really interesting to me, the AI, and it could be eventually weaponized. How deep a dive did you do into artificial intelligence? And do you believe weaponization is a real danger?
I write almost 2 books a year, so I have 6 to 8 months to research these things. But this was something that I was really interested in, especially the kind of the fact that commercial private companies are the ones that are, you know, at the forefront of developing the most sophisticated artificial intelligence. So I was interested in the nexus between AI and robotics and lethal autonomous weapons, killer robots. And so that's really what this book is about. And so the research I did was read a bunch of books more than once. I think I figure I listened to about 400 or 500 hours worth of podcasts and audiobooks, and read a bunch of government, documents and publications on it. And really, there's nothing in this book that's science fiction. It's all either existing or emerging technology.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So nothing from just your imagination. It's all existing now.
Yeah, I will say that I kind of weaponize some things that maybe aren't weaponized.
Hmm.
Some of the bipedal robots, I put guns on them, but there's a robot in there that's called a Greyhound. That's a four-legged robot with a rifle on its back, and that has been made as a prototype. So a lot of these things are existing, or some of them I've kind of tweaked or just imagined where we might be in 6 months with them if you had a bad actor trying to take care of them.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos where the dog's walking around. It's pretty frightening
Yeah,
without a weapon on it.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
um, how much have you used AI just in general in your life?
Other than the algorithms that fuel social media, the internet is the central nervous system of the world, of our society. And it's hard to know what is AI these days, and it's
Hmm.
only going in that direction. I've played around with Chat GPT. It came out a few months ago that some of the data that it used to create some of these large language models was taken from books that were, online, sort of bootlegged online. And they could list all the authors, and I looked and I saw that like 9 of my books, some of the Clancy books I did, were involved. I mean, there were
Wow.
hundreds and hundreds of thousands, so I'm not that unique. And somebody asked me, like, what do you think about that? Doesn't that infuriate you? And I'm like, honestly, from my research, it's not the worst thing that artificial intelligence is going to do to me over the course of my life. So I'm pretty, in the scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal.
It's funny. I've used that as well in writing some blog articles, Chat GPT,
Hmm.
and I remember thinking I wanted a quick story on Gettysburg about a certain angle about it, and I put a prompt into Chat GPT, and it came up with a story, and it had the Confederates winning the Battle of Gettysburg, and I said, well, wait a minute, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah, it's garbage in, garbage out. So it's getting things off the internet and sort of extrapolating them. There was a famous thing where it was asking something about Elon Musk, and it was saying Elon Musk was killed in a Tesla crash. Um, it's like it understood that he owned Tesla, and they didn't understand that didn't mean he owned a Tesla.
Yeah,
It just sort of extrapolated a future to it.
yeah, it's crazy. Now, in this book, I've read in other interviews that you introduced a new element, the element of mystery for the reader. Can you go into a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wanted to make this story. I want to make all my stories somewhat different from the others. And this one, there's a cat and mouse aspect of it. My hero is a former CIA officer named Court Gentry, and he's usually, a tip of the spear type of guy. And there's a lot of that in this book as well. But at the same time, they have to unravel what's going on, and the reader doesn't have all the information at the beginning. In a lot of my books, I go straight into the bad guy's POV, and you learn who the bad guy is and what their mission is. And in this book, it's a little bit different. You sort of have to suss out what's going on as the main characters do the same thing. I think a lot of people will have suspicions throughout, and some of their suspicions will be right and some will be wrong. And I think that makes these types of books a lot of fun.
And I read where you reveal the mysterious element only at the right time for the reader.
Well, I hope I do. I hope I do. That's a thing you really struggle with. I grew up on these books with Frederick Forsyth and DeMille and Le Carre and Clancy, where you have all these multi-plot lines and they sort of thread together at the right point. And so it's always something that I'm desperately trying to capture, because I know how much I enjoyed reading books where that all comes. You have these aha moments, as they call it in Hollywood, and
Yeah,
these aha moments really are impactful.
yeah, I agree. The book opens with Court and Zoya, his love interest, settling down to a quiet life in South America. But Zoya's hiding something from Court. Was this part of one of the mysteries you wanted to weave into the book?
Honestly, yeah, so the psychology of these characters is always really interesting to me, because, you create this character that's, killed all these people, had everybody after him. In every book he's has to run a gauntlet of people who are trying to, you know, try to do him in. So I spend some time thinking about what that would be like. And I've put him in a relationship with somebody he really cares about. And I just was thinking, like, what if what if his trust in her falters because of something that happens, even if it's something sort of innocuous or something that, they can talk their way through. Is he going to build those walls back up so fast, because he is kind of set up to be paranoid as a way to live? So I think that was the main, the main reason for that was just sort of like investigating what a relationship would be like between two, like, high level intelligence assets who are hiding out in the third world in a very peaceful place, but would they be carrying some of these demons along with them?
In which she was.
Yeah.
Now, in the book, you write about a lot of international locations that you may not have been to yourself. Is it a challenge to write about far off locales?
It is. I go to as many places as I can in the time that I have. I just got back from West Africa from another book
Mm,
in December. For this book, I had spent a lot of time in Guatemala, months and months in Guatemala, and especially in this region that I write about. So I didn't go back to research specifically for this book because I know it really well. But I did go down to the coast in Mexico uh, to write that part. And a lot of the book takes place in Cuba, and I was unable to go to Cuba. I just didn't have time in my schedule as I was writing the book. So I'm like, I'm going to have to figure this one out. I think I've been to 30 something countries researching either these books or Clancy books or other books that I've done. And I get a lot out of that. But there's also books
yeah.
where I had to write on my couch because I had to have an ankle surgery right before I went to Vietnam for a book I did called Gunmetal Gray. And so I'm like, all right, I've got to sell this from from my couch.
Yeah. Look up on Google Maps and do
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I want to turn to your television projects, and I wanted to see if we could get an update on how things are progressing. Is there a follow-up to the Gray Man film?
There is supposedly going to be a second Gray Man film. I know they have a script. I'm not sure if the script is all polished and they're going to be making any announcements soon, but I know that was the intention. I have another series that recently sold to television, not Gray Man, another one. And the second book in that series comes out later this year in June. So I'm hoping to get a second bite at that apple, but it's always a super long shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope something will come out about the Gray Man pretty soon. I will probably learn about it the same time everybody else does, just like I did when they actually greenlit the first one. I saw it on the internet. That's how I found
Oh, you
out.
did?
Yeah, yeah. Totally.
How did that, how was the reception of that film on Netflix?
I mean, it was the number one film of 2022 when it came out. It was number five film on Netflix of all time.
Excellent.
Fans are definitely mixed on it because it's very different from the book. It's the book is a lot grittier. The first Gray Man book is a lot grittier. And obviously, as a writer writing a 100,000 word book, you can go deeper into the characters and motivations. Another thing they changed in the film was they were setting it up for a franchise from the beginning. So they introduced some characters that aren't in the first Gray Man book, but they're characters in the series villains that come along later. So, it made total sense for them to weave that in. So I was happy with it. And I think the casual viewer is happy with it. The fans are kind of split on whether or not it was true enough to the book, but I never went into it expecting it to be, the same thing as the book.
Oh, yeah, obviously they have to make some changes.
Yeah.
Did the writer's strike impact the second film at all?
Yes. I know where they were with the script before the writer's strike, and I don't think it really got touched during the writer's strike. So I think that's probably slowed things down
Yeah.
a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the book is called The Chaos Agent. Mark, thank you so much for coming back on the show today.
I always enjoy it. Good to see you.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out some of our other great videos.